He was once a diligent and brave hero. Now, however, he must destroy the world he once protected. And the Demon Lord has become the protector of humanity. This is an anime that will shatter your perceptions. I'm quite harrowing. It tells the story of hero Leo, who transforms from a guardian to a destroyer. At the beginning of the story, faced with a massive invasion by the demon army, the king commanded Leo and a group of elites to confront them, but his teammates were so inept that they even hindered his performance. Thus he went alone to challenge the entire demon army, and effortlessly solo defeated the demon lord Echidna. However, upon his return, not only was there no one to cheer for him, he was also met with cold stares from the people, because Leo was simply too powerful. So powerful that he had no friends, so powerful that he inspired fear. The people thought he was a being more terrifying than the Demon Lord, perhaps even becoming the next Demon Lord. They even sent numerous assassins to kill Leo, but these assassins were nothing in front of him. This only brought him immense sorrow. In the eyes of the people, an overly powerful hero was a hazard. To appease the public, the king had no choice but to banish Leo from the country. The dismissed hero, Leo, began a purposeless wandering journey until one night, he heard that the Demon Lord was recruiting. He thought, if the people can't accept me, then I will join the demon world. If the world wants me dead, then I will destroy the world. Thus, Leo went to the Demon Lord's castle, confronting the Demon Lord and his 4 generals, whom he once defeated. Leo made his intentions clear right away. He was there for the recruitment interview with the demon army. This action shocked everyone. He boasted extensively about his achievements in defeating the Demon Lord and noted the severe shortage of manpower among the demons, a situation he had caused. He had spent a long time preparing his interview speeches, thinking he would surely be hired. However, he was met with furious rejection from Echidna, given that the current sorry state of the Demon Lord's castle was Leo's doing. Undeterred by the rejection, he knelt and implored the 4 generals to take him in. To prove his strength and usefulness, Leo proudly recounted to the 4 generals the times he had defeated them. Against the tank-type dragon General Edwald, he only needed to use magic to exhaust him to win. Against the speed-type General Melnes, he just needed to defend and find the right moment to launch a wide-range attack to defeat him. Against the beastman General Lily, a mere wave of his hand was sufficient, but he regretted it afterwards, because among Lily's beast tribe, there's a tradition. When defeated by the opposite sex, one must marry them. The last one was General Shutina, a friendly reminder. She's a succubus. Since Shutina only used spells for major attacks, Leo employed a sealing spell skill, leaving the spellcaster unable to cast, ending up in such an embarrassing situation. Even now, Shutina was not reconciled, believing that Leo must have been cheating. After all, who could seal all spells of another? After Leo finished boasting, the 4 generals asked him why such a distinguished hero would want to join their demon ranks. Leo then shared his tragic experiences. Lily was moved to tears upon hearing this, and the others also felt pity for his plight. In the end, they decided to hire Leo, but first on a trial basis for 1 month. If he couldn't show results, he would be immediately dismissed. To get back at humanity and to help the demon race regroup, Hero Leo started working for Demon Lord Echidna. Eager to become a permanent employee, Leo woke up early the next day full of energy, only to find his succubus supervisor still sleeping in. Her enchanting sleeping posture might excite the average person, but our protagonist Leo had no interest in such frivolous matters. The sound-asleep Shutina couldn't be woken by any calls, but suddenly Leo thought of a trick. He mimicked Demon Lord Echidna's voice, which immediately woke Shutina with a start. The trick really worked. When she realized it was Leo playing a prank on her, Shutina became instantly furious and promptly treated him to a free block of ice. The commotion even woke up the sleeping Demon Lord. Shutina was upset not because she was asked, but because a man had entered her room without permission. Leo teased, "Aren't you a succubus? Don't you have those kinds of attributes?" This comment only angered Shutina further. Later, when Leo saw the lengthy list of tasks, he finally appreciated how hard her job was. One important task was to replenish the magic furnace with magic. Since the furnace was created by Shutina, Only she could replenish it, as others' magic would be rejected. Leo suggested he take over this task, claiming it would only take 2.5 hours, and afterwards, he guaranteed Shutina would fall for him. To keep his identity hidden, he disguised himself as a dark knight, since the demon lord was not yet aware of his trial employment. 30 minutes later, Leo sneakily returned, laying down openly to relax. With a mountain of tasks still to do, he was astonishingly lazy. Shutina couldn't stand it anymore and tried to physically drag him up. But Leo, who had applied a heavy gravity spell on himself, was immovable despite her best efforts. Seeing his lazy attitude, Shutina realized he was utterly useless and decided to punish him right there. Shutina was continuously chanting a spell to launch a major attack, but was interrupted by a knock on the door. A dark-skinned girl walked in to report on the use of amulets, saying she could now replace Shutina in replenishing the magic for the furnace. It turned out that during that earlier time, Leo hadn't been slacking off. He had infused a purple crystal with the same magic wavelength as Shutina, creating an amulet that could coordinate magic, then distributed it to several female subordinates. Anyone wearing this amulet could automatically match her magic, essentially permanently relieving Shutina of that task. Every organization relies on teamwork, and no one person can handle all the work alone. Leo taught her a good lesson, not informing her in advance for fear she would worry unnecessarily. His words touched Shutina deeply, making her blush. Leo added further explanation, saying that he hadn't been slacking off during that time. While using his magic eye to observe her work and her figure, he efficiently organized a work list, delegating several tasks to his subordinates. This would save a lot of trouble. Shutina was very touched that he had thought so much about her needs. At this moment, Leo became cheeky, because Shutina had casually promised that if he successfully completed his work, he would be rewarded. He teased Shutina with some embarrassing remarks, prompting Shutina to kick him out. Later that evening, Shutina called him alone to her room. Leo thought perhaps Shutina had changed her mind, but it turned out she wanted him to supervise Lily because, thanks to Leo, their demon tribe was now short on both troops and supplies. So the important task of procuring supplies had to be handed over to Lily. Although they could have assigned it to Edwald, who was also of the dragon race, he was too considerate of his subordinates and would end up doing everything himself, which would prevent Lily from learning. After understanding the situation, Leo readily accepted the job. Just after Shutina expressed her gratitude, Leo started flirting with his succubus supervisor again, leading Shutina to once again launch a shy attack on him. Is this guy really a succubus? The next day, Leo went to the dragon race's habitat, Largo Sea, to supervise Lily transporting supplies. Although she was one of the 4 generals, her mentality was not much different from that of a young child, even starting a race game with her subordinates, causing chaos among the dragon race, resulting in their complaints. Leo had to clean up after her, letting the subordinates rest at will after they got tired. A job that should have taken at most 2 days, given everyone's strengths, was now worrying in terms of efficiency. When a goblin subordinate asked who the dark knight beside them was, Lily blurted out that he was her husband, almost revealing Leo's true identity, and even started inviting everyone to their future wedding. At this moment, Leo felt exhausted, thinking if this continued, the demon tribe would eventually be destroyed due to insufficient supplies. Then Lily came in and, seeing his distressed appearance, thought he was sick and quickly ran out to ask if anyone had medicine. Seeing Lily's concern, Leo came up with an idea. He pretended to be bitten by a venomous snake, acting as if he was on the brink of death, to trick Lily into going to the western mountains to gather herbs. The naive and kind-hearted Lily fell for it easily. Then Leo dispelled his abnormal status and summoned a pair of magic eyes to monitor Lily, because he had set many obstacles along the path to the mountain that he himself could not overcome, intending to teach Lily how to cooperate with her subordinates. In a hurry to gather herbs, Lily transformed into the divine wolf Fenrir. After all, as one of the 4 generals, she was not without skills. She quickly reached the first obstacle, a boulder that was immune to physical attacks. To get past it, she would need to find a subordinate who could use spells, but surprisingly, this little fool managed to break it open with brute force. Quickly, they arrived at the second obstacle, the infinitely proliferating slimes. Only by eliminating the core slime could they pass. This required the help of some very perceptive subordinates. However, the poor core slime inside was accidentally crushed by its companions. Leo, feeling helpless, had no choice but to step in personally. The third obstacle was a cliff. Given the distance, even the divine wolf Lily couldn't jump over it. Leo disguised himself as a wandering bard and used a song to persuade her to find a flying subordinate. Seeing Lily head back, he thought she had finally figured it out. However, she just ran back to ask her subordinates for solutions, not to bring help. With this momentum, she broke through all the remaining obstacles on her own. Leo felt defeated. Although his well-intentioned plan hadn't achieved its intended effect, he still appreciated her effort in gathering the herbs. Lily handed him a blueprint, which detailed how different races could be allocated work effectively. She said it was inspired by the traveler from the night before. Lily knew she wasn't very smart, but if no one told her these things, she would never understand. At this moment, Leo realized, the fool wasn't Lily, but himself. To make her understand the importance of teamwork, he should have just explained it directly to her instead of taking such a roundabout path. Leo praised her humbly, noting that sharing the workload with everyone would indeed make work go faster and be more enjoyable. She is a kind and great demon lord, who, for her country and fellow demons, risked her life to come to the human realm just to obtain the Philosopher's Stone that could fulfill wishes. Despite being an invader, she forbade her subordinates from unnecessary killing and sought to negotiate peace with humans. One day, Leo suddenly received a summons from the demon lord, thinking his identity had been exposed. It turned out that Shutina had been talking too much, praising to Echidna his recent active performance as the Dark Knight. With such an outstanding employee in the company, the boss surely wanted to meet him. Though she said this, Leo was still worried. After all, the other was a warrior who could match the valiant Edwald, and a scholar who could rival the knowledgeable Shutina, the mighty king of the demon realm. Yet, in reality, she was a gentle person. "Are you Onyx?" She excitedly praised the recent active performance of the Dark Knight. She not only failed to recognize that it was Leo, but also treated him with great hospitality. The atmosphere of being alone with her made Leo very nervous, constantly calculating how to quickly end this hellish drinking session. Seeing him continuously wearing his helmet, Echidna thought Leo was too formal, and personally went to help him take it off. In a moment of panic, Leo slightly altered his appearance. Seeing Echidna so close, he thought, "Is this the end?" But she just complimented his appearance, noting his delicate features yet sensing a strong will. He didn't expect her to be so oblivious. To escape as soon as possible, Leo resorted to a little trick, trying to intoxicate her with fine wine. But little did he know, she was a heavy drinker, the kind that never gets drunk, which only made her more spirited. Meanwhile, Shutina worried about Leo's situation. Although often teased and tricked by him, he indeed had been a great help. Shutina's muttering was overheard by Lily, who had just come in. The tsundere Shutina vehemently argued and denied what she had just said. The drinking session between the two lasted several hours without them realizing. During this time, Leo observed that Echidna greatly appreciated talent. Thus, he casually brought up the hero Leo. Upon hearing this name, Echidna immediately became infuriated, angrily calling Leo a twisted and marginal character. She declared that she would never allow Leo to join the demon army. Leo was speechless, as Echidna was completely unaware that Leo was right in front of her. The reason Echidna hated Leo so much was that his interference prevented her from obtaining the Philosopher's Stone, a treasure located in the Holy City. It was said to turn wastelands into verdant fields and grant immortality, but these rumors were mostly false. Leo had used a Philosopher's Stone himself, and knew that not everyone could harness its magical powers. Curious, Leo asked Echidna what she intended to do with the Philosopher's Stone. This was a question he had always harbored. Despite being severely beaten and losing a large number of troops, she was still obsessed with the stone. Echidna responded and informed Leo about the dire state of their demon world. The once fertile lands were now barren and desolate, the environment grim and lifeless. The demonkin were fighting each other for the scant resources available. She wanted to establish order in this chaotic demon world, using the power of the Philosopher's Stone to create beautiful rivers, warm sunlight, and lush grasslands and forests. Although the path to obtaining the stone was heavily obstructed by the hero Leo, she didn't really hate him. After all, as a hero, it was his duty to protect humanity and defeat invaders. After a period of conversation, Leo came to understand that Echidna was a fundamentally kind demon lord, forced into the role of an invader only for the sake of her homeland and kin. Seeing how open and honest she was with him, Leo decided not to hide his identity any longer. But just as he was about to reveal himself, he was interrupted by two frantic individuals running in. Shutina handed the demon lord 2 farewell letters. It turned out that 2 of the other 4 generals were causing trouble. One had gone traveling without allowing anyone to find them, and another, due to failing to educate their subordinates, was contemplating suicide. Echidna was immediately unsettled. It seemed that being a demon lord was truly not easy these days. Not only could she not defeat the hero, but even her subordinates were resigning or going on strike. She had just finished discussing her grand visions, only to suddenly receive such distressing news. Given the current dismal state of the demon army, they could not afford to lose 2 major generals. Thus, they split into 2 groups to find out the reasons behind these actions. Leo followed the remaining traces of magical energy to find the runaway Melnes. However, Melnes did not recognize him in his disguise. Realizing this, Leo quickly reverted to his original form to avoid a battle. The 2 sat down by the river, and Leo immediately began to lecture. He scolded Melnes, as one of the 4 generals, for irresponsibly walking away without considering the current situation of the demon army. Melnes couldn't stand the preaching and tightly covered his ears. Before understanding the reasons, Leo quietly used a magic chain to bind him, knowing that as the shadowless general, if Melnes truly wanted to escape, Leo probably couldn't catch up. After a long session of therapeutic questioning, Leo finally understood the current troubles plaguing Melnes. It turned out that he suffered from social anxiety. In 3 days, he was supposed to act as an interviewer to hire some eloquent employees, but he himself was terrible at speaking and didn't know how to handle it. He had originally thought to gain experience through traveling, but now that Leo had caught up with him, Melnes requested that Leo teach him to become a master of communication within 3 days. Although it might be harder than defeating the entire demon army, Leo eventually agreed. Afterwards, Leo returned to the demon lord to report on Melnes' situation and found out that Edwald, who had planned to commit seppuku, neither died nor succeeded but had instead wasted resources. Since Edwald's skin was too thick, ordinary weapons couldn't harm him, resulting in the loss of many weapons used for soldier training. Fortunately, he was simple-minded. If he had tried poisoning himself, he probably would have succeeded. Currently, his daughter Gerrietta was overseeing him. The best way to learn is through practice, so Leo took Melnes to the demon lord's castle cafeteria to work as a waiter. Through interacting with the customers, he could gain experience in communication. However, Melnes didn't understand why he had to wear a dress. Leo explained that they should at least consider the feelings of the subordinates. If they knew their supervisor was serving them, how could they relax and enjoy their meals? Besides, with his slim figure, it would be a shame not to wear a dress. During a conversation, several Wolf Tribe members wanted to order. Melnes approached them, gently and warmly asking for their needs. Unexpectedly, they took advantage of this and said they wanted to taste a woman, boasting that they had even taken on a succubus. As they reached out with their wolf paws, what followed was inevitable. Melnes performed a maneuver akin to crow flying the airplane, neutralizing them swiftly. Their companions thought to help, but ended up subdued on the ground by Melnes. Someone then suspected that this might be the shadowless general, and after that, no one dared to trouble him further. After a busy day, Leo decided to test Melnes' practical results by conducting a mock interview with himself as the applicant. However, unexpectedly, Melnes' response was astonishing. His first question stumped Leo. "You previously said you wanted to join the demon army to eliminate humans. That was a lie, right?" Leo did not argue or directly answer Melnes. Instead, he started telling his own origin story, which spanned over 1,000 years. Back then, humanity was in the midst of a thriving mechanical civilization era, living almost stable and secure lives under the protection of various high-tech products. But suddenly, one day, in a place called Tokyo, a disturbance happened. A group of demons burst from the ground, wildly attacking the people and things around them. Seeking the warmth of the sunlight, they had come from the dark demon world to the human realm. Faced with the demon invasion, humans did not cower, but collectively fought back. The war between humans and demons quickly spread across the world. However, as beings of flesh, humans were ultimately too weak. It took several individuals in special equipment just to barely defeat a demon. Thus, leaders from various countries gathered to discuss the existential crisis of mankind. They developed 12 bioengineered human weapons, capable of autonomous function and infinite growth, by implanting demon cells into human bodies. From birth, these 12 were instilled with the mission to save the world. As defenders of humanity, they continuously fought against demons until they began to die one by one, leaving only one survivor, Leo, the hero. Melnus found this hard to believe. Leo also told him that the previous demon lord was defeated by him, which surprised Melnus, as this happened hundreds of years ago. He wondered how old Leo actually was. Leo himself did not know, as he stopped counting his age after reaching 1,000 years. As a traveler through time, Leo has witnessed the downfall of a technological civilization and the emergence of a magical one. Over these long years, he wanted to die, but couldn't due to his overwhelming strength and the commands implanted in him to protect humanity and save the world, which he followed dutifully until he heard the phrase, "Heroes are no longer needed." Rather than feeling sad, he saw it as an opportunity to shed his hero identity. Regarding Melnus's question about whether joining the demon army was really to destroy humanity, Leo felt conflicted. If he truly wanted to, he could have done so single-handedly. Rather than saying he joined the demon army to get back at humanity, it was more about finding a reason to live or a place that could accept him. Despite Chutina often being tsundere, she was a cool and shrewd woman. Although Lily was playful and not very smart, she was a sincere and good child. Although Edwald was simple-minded and straightforward, he was extremely responsible towards his subordinates. Although Melnus was a cold assassin, he had emotions that matched his age. As for Demon Lord Echidna, like her flat and modest chest, she had an incredibly broad heart. Although each of them seemed foolish, they were genuinely good people, good enough that Leo was willing to put forth effort for them. Therefore, Leo decided he would definitely help them obtain the Philosopher's Stone. The two talked unknowingly for a long time, and Leo was somewhat puzzled as to why he had shared so much with Melnus. Perhaps this was exactly what he had been hoping for, to have someone to listen to his concerns. After solving Melnus's problem, it was time to turn to the simple-minded Edwald. To make his subordinates as strong as himself, Edwald had them train against S-class magical beasts. However, the power disparity was too great, and they were thoroughly defeated. Seeing this pitiable and miserable sight, Edwald felt his training was useless and blamed himself for not teaching them properly, leading him to consider seppuku as an apology. The next day, Gerrietta came to find Leo and complained about her father's outrageous behavior, asking a bunch of recruits to defeat an S-class beast and blaming them for not training hard enough. Although this was easy for Edwald, it was nearly impossible for ordinary soldiers. After hearing Gerrietta's account, Leo quickly realized that Edwald did not understand how to think from others' perspectives, assuming that what he could achieve, others should be able to as well, a mindset common among the strong. Gerrietta asked Leo for help because under Edwald's rigorous training, most soldiers were experiencing physical discomfort. Leo confidently agreed to help. After returning to his room and seeing the report Lily submitted, he suddenly thought of a good solution. He was about to implement it when he was summoned by the Demon Lord. From her, he learned about Edwald's intention to resign, claiming he could no longer lead the troops as a general. Edwald had created new trouble. After failing to succeed in his suicide, he now suddenly wanted to resign from his position as one of the 4 generals and start over as a regular soldier. Leo was speechless. This was really making things complicated. Echidna was about to seek his opinion but then held back her words. After all, she was the mighty ruler of the demon realm, and it seemed too helpless to ask others for help in everything. However, Leo said he already had a great plan. Then the scene shifted to the cave Lily mentioned in her report, where a mechanical golem had been found. This mech was a product of the Mechanical Age, a forbidden weapon created to combat superior demons and the Demon Lord. Leo planned to use it to teach Edwald a lesson. Facing an enemy they had never seen before, everyone was obviously intimidated. But under the command of their leaders, The soldiers had to proceed. Their attacks were as ineffective as scraping, and they wasted a lot of weapons. Suddenly, the mech stopped, initially thought to be due to being buried underground for years and malfunctioning. Unexpectedly, it was actually preparing to unleash a powerful attack. Fortunately, Leo was quick to react, deploying a shield to block the attack for them. Otherwise, given the power of the blast, everyone present might have ended up dead. Blocking it again to protect the dignity of a hero and prevent casualties, Leo saw the soldiers panic and flee. However, the stubborn Edwald did not retreat and charged forward, intending to take on the mech directly. At this moment, Leo informed him about the mech's characteristics and attack methods. Edwald admitted he didn't understand Leo's explanations, as it was his first time fighting such a thing. But this was exactly the effect Leo wanted. Then, as planned, Gerrietta informed her father that the mech's weakness was in its abdomen. Following this tip, Edwald successfully defeated it. The mech emitted a series of alarm sounds, and Leo quickly summoned a magic eye to check it out. Indeed, it was a signal for reinforcements. Just one had given them such a hard time. If several more were to appear simultaneously, they would be doomed. Echidna had received the message and arrived at the cave with the other 3 generals, telling Leo to continue with the plan while they handled the situation. Afterwards, Leo severely reprimanded Edwald, using the same method Edwald used to educate his subordinates. This seemed to make the straightforward man have an epiphany. After a long verbal guidance session with Gerrietta and Leo's concerted efforts, Edwald finally realized his mistake and sincerely apologized to his subordinates. Meanwhile, Echidna was furiously battling. Although she couldn't defeat the incredibly strong hero, facing these ancient, dilapidated toys left by the ancients was as easy as crushing ants. Explosions ensued, and Echidna, enough. Shutina and Melnis were speechless on the side. As a bioengineered human created specifically to combat demons, Leo had been instilled from birth with the directive to protect the world. He didn't understand any purpose beyond that until he met a particular demon who changed his life. One day, Leo was reading a book in his room when Shutina suddenly knocked and entered. She informed him that, due to the Black Knight's superior performance in the demon army, the Demon Lord had decided to promote him to an officer. This meant that Leo's true identity might not remain hidden much longer. Shutina instructed Leo not to confess too readily and to follow her guidance, as upsetting Echidna could undermine all their previous efforts. Then Shutina voiced her concerns about whether they could really obtain the Philosopher's Stone. Leo assured her that although it wouldn't be easy, he would do his utmost to assist. After Shutina left the room, Leo looked at the book in his hands and reflected on events that had happened thousands of years ago. To resist the invasion of demons, humans had created 12 bioengineered human weapons. Not only were these beings powerfully strong, but they were also capable of infinite self-growth. As member number 5 of the Demon Heart series, Leo one day received a communication from his superiors about a strange demon proclaiming a desire to coexist with humans. When he arrived at the location, he found it to be just as the intelligence had reported. The weak demon in front of him had no will to fight and claimed it wanted to live peacefully with humans. Looking at Leo's expressionless face, Ebrad felt uneasy and kept creating conversation to buy himself a chance to survive. He explained the reasons for their invasion of the human world. Due to incessant wars in the demon realm over scarce resources, the demon Lord Belia decided to look for a new home and opened a large portal to the human realm. It was intended to lead to an uninhabited island, but instead opened right in the center of Tokyo. The brash demons then recklessly wreaked havoc, leading to a war between humans and demons. Ebrad had come to the human world out of curiosity, hoping to experience its warm sunlight and lush greenery, but all he saw were these gray, daunting giant tombstones. Disappointed and wanting to return to the demon realm, Ebrad discovered that the portal connecting the two worlds had been closed. He quickly realized that they, the weaker demons, had been abandoned. After hearing Ebrad's information, Leo decided not to kill him and prepared to take him to the prisoner reception unit. Along the way, the silent Leo made Ebrad extremely nervous, fearing he could be killed at any moment. Ebrad once again initiated a conversation, asking for Leo's name and explaining the importance of sharing one's name with others. Although he did not understand everything Ebrad said, Leo introduced himself. After hearing his situation, Edwald felt pity for Leo, who risked his life to protect the world, yet would become valueless once peace was restored. Ultimately, they would have no place to belong. Regarding the meaning of existence, Leo had never thought about it, believing he only needed to follow orders. Perhaps he might sacrifice himself before ever achieving humanity, as he was the weakest of the 12. Edwald was shocked. Leo was so strong, yet still the weakest. Humans were truly incredible to have created such formidable beings. Eventually, they arrived at their destination, and now that they could no longer return to the demon realm, Edwald resigned himself to his fate. He decided to stay here and live, continually advocating for the demon race to coexist peacefully with humans. He also asked Leo to remember his name, indicating that one day he might become a symbol of peace between the two races. When they parted, Edwald's words deeply inspired Leo. He advised Leo not to overexert himself and to run away if he felt pain, to just do what he wanted to do. Indeed, Edwald was a kind demon. Leo learned from this conversation. Thousands of years later, Edwald became a historical figure written about in books, and Leo always considered him his mentor. Today, he planned to live by this philosophy and do what he wanted, which included confessing his true identity to Edna and revealing his real purpose for joining the demon army. However, his plans were interrupted again when a female subordinate suddenly brought bad news. The great portal connecting the human and demon worlds was on the verge of closing. Although Leo and others managed to stabilize it with their magic, it was unlikely to hold for more than 7 days. Once the portal closed, they would not be able to return to the demon realm, and reopening a portal large enough for an entire army to pass through could take hundreds or even thousands of years. Therefore, they must find a solution within 7 days. Shutina proposed 2 options. One was to retreat all forces to the demon realm before the portal closed, which meant disbanding the army they had so painstakingly assembled, as most of it consisted of humans who could not be taken to the demon realm. The second option was to immediately lead the army to attack the holy city to seize the Philosopher's Stone. Edna felt this choice was unfeasible, given the current state of the demon army and the certainty of a grueling battle, especially since they would be fighting against the formidable hero Leo. Reluctantly, Edna was inclined to choose a retreat to the demon realm. At this moment, Lily attempted to speak about Leo, but Shutina quickly stopped her. This action made Edna think it was done in her best interest, knowing that Shutina, who had been with her since childhood, understood her deep desire for the Philosopher's Stone. Edna had thought she saw a glimmer of hope for the future, but it seemed to shatter all too quickly. The dire situation in the demon realm was supposed to be alleviated with the power of the Philosopher's Stone, which Edna had studied hard since childhood, to change upon ascending to the throne of the demon realm. She had come to the human world full of hope, seeking the all-powerful stone that could fulfill any wish. But now, it all seemed to end abruptly, and the only option was to start over and find another way. At this moment, Leo decided no longer to hide his identity and explained to everyone that the Philosopher's Stone was not an all-powerful wishing device, but an ancient technological device from the mechanical civilization, utilizing a quantum black hole to semi-permanently provide magical power. If they wanted to use it, they first needed to find the instruction manual, which had been lost somewhere in the human realm. Humans had been searching for it for years, but with no easy success. After hearing Leo's explanation, Edna expressed her desire to reconcile with humans and search for the manual together. However, she hesitated, realizing that both sides would be competing for the same object and felt this plan might not work. Leo continued, informing her that there are actually 2 Philosopher's Stones in the human realm, which could potentially meet the needs of both sides. After speaking, Leo asked her to turn around and look at him. At that moment, Edna also sensed something was amiss. When she turned and saw the man before her, she was utterly bewildered, her emotions complex and indescribable. The others nearby also sweated nervously. Before the stunned Edna could react, Leo quickly explained the real reason he had joined the demon army: to personally see if Demon Lord Edna was a suitable candidate to entrust with the Philosopher's Stone. After their previous drinking session and hearing her heartfelt words, Leo was convinced that Edna was worthy of the stone. Hearing about the drinking session, Edna snapped to her senses, realizing that the person she had confided in was actually her archenemy. She went berserk. Seeing this, Leo hurriedly suggested that he wanted to take Echidna to the location of another philosopher's stone. But the deceived Echidna, angry and feeling betrayed, attacked him. It was shocking for her to discover that the Black Knight she liked was actually her nemesis in disguise. She was the only one who had been kept in the dark, while everyone else knew. Echidna was furious, venting her rage uncontrollably. Lily and Shutina quickly intervened to calm her down. Then, one after another, they pleaded Leo's case, highlighting his contributions to the demon army. Seeing her subordinates so supportive of him, Echidna decided to hold off on pursuing the matter further, and asked Leo if there really was another philosopher's stone. Leo confidently confirmed that not only did it exist, but it was also very close, located right in the mountain range ahead, though guarded by a powerful sentinel.